All right, as we continue to monitor the developments at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, let us now head to the Mamboleo Grounds, where thousands have already gathered to pay their final respects to the late former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Our very own Ibrahim Karanja is on standby there, just to give us a quick update of exactly what is transpiring at the moment. Ibrahim, good morning.
Good morning, Zainab. Yes, we are at the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium, popularly known as Mamboleo Grounds, here in Kisumu. And we've been here for the past about 30 minutes. And since we got here, we found mourners outside the stadium, eagerly awaiting that particular time that they will be allowed to come in and view the body of the late Raila Odinga. As we speak, preparations are still ongoing. The military is still setting up where the body will be lying. Of course, you can see very beefed up security with officers from the NYS right now taking position all around that particular dome. Even cameras right now are not allowed beyond where the NYS officers are. But beyond, if Jen is able to give you a closer shot, you will see military officers in their ceremonial regalia, of course, setting up that particular place where the remains of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga will be laying for the next couple of hours up until 3 p.m. today, when that particular remains will be taken to Bondo for an overnight stay at his Opoda farm home, then eventually for the burial tomorrow at Kangoka Jaramogi. On the other side of the stadium, this is a stadium whose picture we painted yesterday, a stadium that can only occupy 12,000 people, but the security arrangements are that no one is getting to sit. So it is just an easy flow of human traffic. You come in through a certain gate, quickly view the body and get out through the other gate. That will ensure that there is no retention of members of the public within the stadium at any particular time. But already there are people who were able to access the stadium earlier and are sitting on the terraces. This is not part of the plan, according to what we were told yesterday. No one was allowed to come in and sit on the terraces. They were all supposed to wait outside until they are granted access to walk, pay their last respects and walk out. But these are the early risers. Some of them came here from as early as 3 a.m. Some of those we spoke to, and some are still mourning. You remember the popular Joey kind of mourning, and they are walking in groups. Of course, remembering Raila Odinga in the best way they know how. If Jen can show you a picture from the farthest end, there is a group moving around the tracks, singing in honor of Raila Odinga, carrying twigs. I can see the Kenyan flag flying there. I can also see some orange color indicating the color of the ODM party, which Raila Odinga was its party leader. So these are the kind of pictures we've been seeing here. That group has been dancing or moving around the track for a while and just mourning, like I said, in the best way they know how. But if I can show you yet another picture, is that the security officers are leaving nothing to chance. You can see how they've taken their position and, of course, having barricades so that no one in the terraces is able to access the grounds as we speak. So tens of officers actually who are taking position, various positions, to ensure that there is law and order, there is proper order in terms of viewing the body of Raila Odinga. What we know is that the body of Raila Odinga will be flown into this particular stadium direct from Nairobi. So it will be flown here to a position right behind the stadium. Then it will come using that particular military carriage that will bring it right inside the stadium, and that will happen at around 8 a.m. Family members will be accompanying the remains of Raila Odinga by the time the body comes, and they will sit here at the stadium for a while before they go back home to their Riat home here in Kisumu, awaiting 3 p.m. before they take the body now by road and head straight to Bondo area. But so far, this is how it is. While coming from town earlier this morning, there were crowds of people all along the way, from the Kondele roundabout coming all the way to the Mamboleo Grounds. You could see a big number of people making their way to this particular side. And considering that it is a weekend, then the numbers are likely to be very, very, very high. Yesterday, we were told the gates that will be used for access will be Gate 6, coming in through Gate 6 and exiting through Gate 8. So it is a very brief stay for anyone who will come in to pay their last respects. We also know that there will be no speeches. So anyone expecting to make speeches here, that will not happen. That includes even the local leaders. So even they, if the area governor and the regional governors here come to view the body, it will simply be to do that solemn duty of, to pay the last respect and walk out. Then from here at 3 p.m., it's going to be a long 63.3 kilometer journey. A journey from here to Opoda Farm. Exactly 63.3 kilometers off the people, of a distance that the people here will be covering. Live pictures there that you are getting, courtesy of Jen Gatweri, of course, showing more people walking in, using the designated gate, and of course joining, some taking their position on the terraces and others joining that crowd that has been chanting and moving around the tracks throughout this particular morning. Announcements are made every so often, announcements about the security protocol, announcements about how to conduct oneself. Right now, there is that particular call that is asking people to come down or to climb down the VIP main dais, because some of the other people had taken position there. And if Jane can take us to the VIP main dais, that is where many people, or the leaders rather, will be coming in using. We do not have a clear picture of the formation that the military will be having in terms of coming in, but it is something that we are here to capture for our viewers, even as history is written. But all in all, Zainab, this is the second last day before Raila Odinga is finally put to rest, and this is the first time that his remains is coming back home to his home region. This is a region that gave him out to the country to go serve the country, and this is a region that right now will be receiving their son to pay their last respect and to finally lay him to rest. So what we expect is a big number of people to come and view the body. People from across the Nyanza region, just the Luo Nyanza counties, for instance, are the counties of Migori, the county of Siaya, the county of Homa Bay, the county of Kisumu. And if you're to go lower, there is Kisii and Nyamira. Just neighboring is the county of Kericho. Not too far are the counties of Narok and Bomet. And this other side, the western side, of course, the counties of Kakamega, Vihiga, Busia, Bungoma. All of these people are expected here. Not just those people, but also those from across the country who are not able to view the body of Raila Odinga and may want to do so, because this is the last day that there will be a public viewing of the remains of Raila Odinga. From here at 3 p.m., like I said, he will be heading to Bondo, and his body will be staying overnight at his Opoda Farm home, because that is in accordance to the Luo culture. From here, he will be taken to his Opoda Farm residence, after which the remains will stay overnight. Then tomorrow, the remains will be taken to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, where the funeral service will be held before the body is finally laid to rest, not too far from there, less than 5 kilometers from there, at Kango Kajaramogi. The burial site, we already showed our viewers, is right next to where the first vice president, Mzee Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was buried, about 5 meters away. And that will be history written. That will be the spot in which many years from now, people who will be reading about Raila Odinga will be heading to pay their last respect. Perhaps a mausoleum will be put up in honor of Raila Odinga, just right next to his late father's mausoleum. And that is something that we shall be, of course, looking to see how it unfolds. But so far, Zainab, that is the latest from the Mamboleo Grounds. Kisumu is today receiving its son. We saw the kind of action that was there last night all across the city of Kisumu and other counties within this particular Nyanza region. Candle lighting in very many spots. We drove at night through various spots, and you could see mourners outside mourning in the way they know how, and holding candles that were lit in honor of Raila Odinga. For instance, Governor of Kisumu, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, led that particular exercise at Sports Ground yesterday at around 7 p.m. throughout to 9 and 10 p.m., where hundreds of people turned up and also took part in that particular exercise. So while the dignitaries will be coming in, of course, they'll be coming in using various means. Some of them will land at the airport here, Kisumu International Airport, but most of them are expected to head straight to Bondo. And that is what we got from one of the sources who are planning for this particular viewing of the body. So they will not, we are not expecting that most of the dignitaries will be coming here to publicly view the body, but they will land at the airport and head straight to Opoda Farm, because even yesterday we got notice that finally that homestead is open to accommodate or to host dignitaries who will be coming in to mourn with the Odinga family. So yes, most of the people will be traveling from Nairobi, but there'll also be a lot of action at Opoda Farm later today. So Zainab, as at now, there is an announcement being made that all the media personnel, all journalists converge at one particular point, and it is at that point that I will take it back to you. Then we will come back with an update of what will have happened. But we expect the body of the late Raila Odinga to land in Kisumu at 8 a.m. Zainab.
Thank you, Ibrahim Karanja there, bringing us details of what is currently happening at the Mamboleo Grounds. What you can see, the picture there, a specially prepared dais that has been erected at the stadium where the body of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga will lie in state. It is going to be draped in the national flag and flanked by a ceremonial guard from the Kenya Defence Forces. That platform stands as a solemn stage for the final public farewell. It is from that sacred space that mourners, both young and old, will file past in a show of respect, reverence, and even collective grief as they pay their last respects. You can see mourners already gathered at the Mamboleo Grounds, just awaiting for the body of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to arrive in Kisumu, the heart of the Nyanza region, and a place that really has always stood with him from his earliest political days to his final moments in public life. This is not just a homecoming to Kisumu. It's a farewell journey for a man who symbolized the struggle, the hope, and the resilience of a people, a national figure whose impact transcended politics. As we speak at the moment, as you can see on the pictures on your screen, large crowds that have already gathered there at the Mamboleo Grounds. This was happening throughout the night till very early in the morning. And we have the Kenya Defence Forces aircraft expected to leave the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and will land on the grounds, from where then a public viewing and cultural tribute will then take place. We saw residents already lining up across the streets in Kisumu from yesterday evening to mourn and to pray, just merging together in celebration of the life of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Well, Raila really was more than a politician. He was a freedom fighter. He was a reformist. He was a man who endured detention without trial. He was in exile. He faced political betrayal. He faced loss. But he never really gave up on the dream of a united democratic Kenya. Born in 1945 in Maseno, he was the son of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, one of Kenya's independence heroes and Kenya's first vice president. And even just looking back at his political journey from 1982, during the attempted coup, to the push for multi-party democracy in the 90s, Raila's fingerprints are on every major democratic gain this country has made. He's served in different capacities as Member of Parliament for Langata. He's been Minister for Roads and Public Works, eventually as Prime Minister of Kenya from 2008 to 2013. That followed a power-sharing deal that ended one of Kenya's darkest chapters of post-election violence. He's contested for the presidency 5 times, back in 1997, in 2007, back in 2013, in 2017, and in 2002 as well. He's always come very close, sparking a passion across the country, while he never really ascended to the presidency. Many say that he won the soul of the nation. And after today's events in Kisumu, the body will be transported to his Bondo home in Siaya County, and there the burial will take place. What we've seen in terms of the security situation, and you can see the officers stationed there. Security has been heightened in the region, and even several roads leading up to the Mamboleo Grounds in Kisumu, there is heavy and tight security there in anticipation of the large crowds expected there. We also perhaps expect addresses from some of the key national leaders, including President William Ruto and members of the Odinga family as well, who will reflect on his legacy, not just as a political icon, but as a father, as a grandfather, and a patriot in the country as well. Just looking back at what transpired yesterday, we will be looking at some of those statements, some of the remarks that were made during that funeral service at the Nyayo National Stadium. All right, we got that picture of a simulation or sort of a graphic representation of the aircraft. That's the flight tracker of the aircraft that I believe has now left Nairobi, headed to Kisumu. It will land at the Mamboleo Grounds in Kisumu County, where we already have thousands who have gathered there, young and old, to come and pay their last respects to the son of the land. And of course, we will be bringing you live pictures of what will be taking place from the moment that this aircraft lands in Kisumu at the Mamboleo Grounds. And as I said, we will be looking at some of the addresses that were made yesterday at the Nyayo National Stadium. We had President William Ruto, who led the nation here in Nairobi. We also saw his predecessor, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, pay tribute to Raila Odinga, highlighting him as a visionary and a forgiving father figure. That state funeral service at the Nyayo Stadium yesterday was quite heavy. You could feel the solemnity or the grief that really clouded the city yesterday, mourning Raila Odinga, whose journey has been one that will leave a mark in the political history of our country. And, you know, the former president speaking about Raila Odinga, saying, you know, his journey with Raila crisscrossed many times, sometimes as rivals and sometimes as allies, following the handshake that happened. He spoke to the ODM leader's personal sacrifice, you know, and a unifying love for the country, regardless of political rivalries. President William Ruto, in his reflective and deeply personal eulogy as well, tracing the arc of his own political journey with a man he called Baba. He spoke of an alliance, a rivalry, you know, and a stunning reconciliation that saved the nation from turmoil from time to time. He says, you know, when I stood with him, with the other members of the Pentagon, at that time it was a defining moment in his and the nation's history. The president saying he never knew one day he would find, or they would find themselves on opposite sides, nor could he have imagined that years later that Raila Odinga would stand beside him, you know, that time to steady the nation and help him anchor his own leadership as president. Those are some of the tributes that we had yesterday from President William Ruto, and as well as his predecessor, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who, on his own part, who stepped to the podium stating that Raila's death was more intimate, a brotherly loss. He says that he mourned the former Prime Minister, and he said, we are here as Kenyans to celebrate the life of a fellow citizen, a leader, my friend, and I loved him as a brother. And you could tell, his voice was thick with an emotional appeal that resonated with all those who attended the funeral yesterday at the Nyayo National Stadium. Uhuru delving into the heart of his own bond with Raila, a relationship that really defined his last presidential term, saying that their journey was long. It was marked by both competition and profound partnership, confessing and sort of alluding to their heated electoral battles back in 2013 and then 2017. He says later they chose a different path, the path of unity, referring to that famous handshake, that ended a period of very bitter post-election strife in 2018. A leaf later that President Ruto will then borrow after what we witnessed last year with the Gen Z protests that shook the country and really threatened his own administration. And both leaders honored Raila's personal sacrifices. Remember President Ruto saying that the former Prime Minister endured years of imprisonment, exile, political struggle, and not just for the privilege of power, but for the principle of service. It is something that has resonated and has been spoken about by leaders and people who actually knew the kind of sacrifice that the former Prime Minister made in his political service and journey. President Uhuru, the former president, in turn charged the nation with a solemn duty, saying, and I quote, he says, "Today, as we say bye to our father Raila, I want us to vow that we won't agree as Kenyans that human rights and democracy will be reversed." That was a very strong statement. And also, in one of the most notable highlights as well, if you can remember, President Ruto evoking the imagery of one of Raila's favorite songs, Jamaica Farewell, saying those words ring with profound meaning. If you remember, the former Prime Minister loved to sing that song, and it